Hi everyone, welcome back and thank you for coming along on our virtual trip through the United States. In this trip, we are on a mission to uncover the most iconic dishes from every state. Our first stop was Alabama. If you didn't see that, go check it out. And now we're headed over to Alaska. Welcome to the last frontier. When I think about Alaska and food, my brain immediately goes to seafood, which makes sense because it boasts the longest coastline in the U.S. at over 10,000 kilometers. It also has over 3 million lakes. Specifically, Alaska is home to 48 species of fish and numerous other seafoods. There's so many options. However, in addition to seafood, I learned that Alaska also has many other amazing local foods to offer. One of the most amazing and unique features of Alaska is the long summer days, which can provide nearly 20 hours of continuous sunlight per day. This humongous dose of sunshine provides a photosynthesis bonus, supercharging fruits and vegetables. This photosynthesis bonus, combined with the rich glacial soil of Alaska, produces some of the best produce. I read that in the summer, wild berries are so abundant that in some fields you can't even walk through them without being surrounded by berries of many varieties. Can you imagine? It sounds like a dream. The rich soil and the near endless sunlight also is the perfect combination for growing giant vegetables. Giant cabbages, potatoes, zucchinis, etc. Like many states, it has become a pastime to show off the giant vegetables at local and state fairs. I'll link an article in the description which discusses how Alaska is the perfect environment for producing massive veggies. In addition to this amazing local produce, Alaska is also home to reindeer, which can be used to create sausages and are said to be quite popular on breakfast menus. I found a company that actually ships Alaskan reindeer sausage if you're interested in trying it. I would also like to note that there are strict regulations around raising reindeer for consumption, and they can only be owned by Alaskan natives. Alaska is very committed to sustainability and protection of its wildlife. It has strict sustainable regulations. For example, marine mammals are protected under the Federal Marine Mammal Protection Act and prohibits commercial use of marine mammals. This act does allow certain marine mammals to be harvested by Alaskan natives for consumption and subsistence, because it is an important element of the traditional subsistence lifestyle of Alaskan natives. Arguably, one of the most important elements of Alaskan diet across the board is fish. It is an excellent source of fat and protein. King salmon are the state fish of Alaska. Sockeye salmon are the most commercially important fish, and Pacific halibut is abundant in Alaska. There's obviously other Alaskan seafood, such as the amazing king crab, oysters, shrimp, and the list goes on and on. But again, I think nothing seems to be as critical as fish. So I narrowed down that I wanted to highlight fish, but I could not choose. Halibut or salmon? Halibut or salmon? Salmon seemed obvious in some regards, but then as I was digging in, halibut could not be ignored. Luckily for me, I happen to know a couple of people who live or have lived in Alaska. My grandma's sister lived in Alaska for many years, so I reached out to her for her opinion. Simultaneously, my sister-in-law reached out to her family who is from Alaska. My aunt got back to me first, and as you can see here, halibut. And I was excited, done deal. But then my sister-in-law texted me, and salmon. Halibut, salmon, what am I going to do? Well, guess what? For the halibut, we're going to do both. Alaska is the biggest state after all, and I think it can handle 2 dishes. Besides, I make the rules, so let's go ahead and get started. The dish we're making today is Halibut Olympia. This is a celebration of the Pacific halibut. My aunt said in her experience it's one of the most loved dishes in Alaska. I ordered Pacific halibut from Whole Foods, and here I am trying to make some nice YouTube food content and failing at it. So anyways, sometimes you just got to tear things open. All right, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. I think in my mind I was thinking that it would be like nicely chopped, ready to go, but it wasn't. I ended up getting one long piece of fish, which was actually really nice. It was a beautiful piece of fish. I've never cooked with this before at all. As you can see here, it's very nice. The only thing is that the tail was pretty different in terms of the width and size of the rest of the fish. So I ended up cutting it into 3 equal portions, and then the end piece I saved off and prepared slightly differently. Make sure you pat your fish dry before you season it and remove all that excess liquid. And then for this, we just did a simple seasoning of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. And you want to season it pretty generously because it's a fairly mild fish. After you season the fish, set it to the side and start preparing the rest of your ingredients. Recipes vary with the next item, but the one that I'm following is called for not 1, not 2, but 3 whole yellow onions. So you just cut those up and saute them for about 8 minutes, again seasoned with salt and pepper. Now we're preparing the topping. So it's a equal mixture of sour cream and mayo. This is not a healthy dish. It's delicious, but it is not healthy. So you mix up the sour cream and the mayo, and it's about 1 cup of each, I would say. It depends on how much fish you're using. And then I season this with salt and pepper and some freshly squeezed lemon juice. After you get everything added in, you just mix, and then set that to the side because we have some more ingredients to put together. After you combine sour cream and mayo, we're going to make breadcrumbs to sprinkle on top of that. Breadcrumbs, you can use either panko or regular breadcrumbs. And then it's about 1/4 cup of parsley, 1/4 cup of melted butter, some salt and pepper, and another little squeeze of lemon juice. As you can see, I thought I had about 1 cup of panko left. I did not, and that was not enough. So I ended up adding in some other breadcrumbs as well, and I actually liked the combination of the two together. So I think if I make this again, I'd probably do the same thing. But basically, any type of breadcrumb will work. It's not an issue. Season to taste, mix it all up, and you're ready to go. This is much more of the ratio of breadcrumbs to other ingredients that I was looking for. After you do that, just check on your onions. Once they're nicely sauteed, put them in a greased baking dish, and then set your fish fillets on top of the onions. After you've set the fillets on top of the onions, then you spoon on the sour cream mixture and then sprinkle the breadcrumbs on top of that. As I mentioned earlier, the fish ended up creating 3 equal pieces and then 1/4 piece that was a lot smaller than the rest. So what I ended up doing was putting that 4th piece in about 10 minutes after I started cooking the rest of this. But you just want to make sure that your sour cream is distributed evenly between all your pieces of fish. Same thing with the breadcrumbs. It's a lot, I know, but it's worth it. After you put the breadcrumbs on, just drizzle it with some olive oil. It goes in the oven at 375 for about 30 minutes, and then I turn the broiler on for a couple minutes. Okay, and now here comes the taste test. So now the moment everyone's been waiting for, my daughter's reaction and review. Just a quick note, she doesn't really care for fish that much except for salmon, but we'll see what she thinks. So excited. What do you think?
It's really good.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yay! I wasn't expecting that from her. And look at how flaky the fish got. Oh, so excited to try it. Hey, here I go, my first taste. I can't wait. Oh my God. That's so good. What the heck? That's amazing. Okay, before we get into the salmon, just a friendly reminder to subscribe. So for the salmon, I ended up doing a smoke preparation, you know, another excuse to use my stovetop smoker. But I ended up messing this up, to be honest. So I'm not going to put a recipe, but I will link some recipes that I think could be used. So here I have a 4-to-1 ratio of brown sugar to salt to do a dry brine. And for that ratio works if you're going to brine it for, 12 to 14 hours. But I only did a quick brine. And for a quick brine, it's supposed to be more like a 1-to-1 ratio of brown sugar to salt. So it didn't exactly work as planned. I kind of goofed that up. But good news is it still ended up tasting okay. So I ended up getting a piece of sockeye salmon, which is from Alaska, and it was so beautiful. I don't know if you can really see here, but the color is just amazing. You put the brine on it, you let it sit. It's supposed to draw out a lot of moisture, but it's actually supposed to be like way more moisture than that. I'm using my stovetop smoker. If you know, you know. So good. And here we go trying it. Okay, so now we're going to do the taste test for the smoked salmon. And I will admit, I got things a little mixed up. I'll tell you about it later. Let's hear her reaction.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for coming along on this second stop of our journey. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!